Two men rob popular snackette in Houston. Berbice man dies in fatal accident. GWI catches drinking water company using their tap water for resale. In the region, second term for incumbent president of St. Kitts and Nevis. And internationally, schools in South Africa reopen for exams. Greetings and welcome to another edition of Channel 2 Headline News Update. I am George Gonzalez. Thank you for joining us. On Sunday, President of the Guyana Teachers Union, Coretta McDonald, called on all members of the union to stay home on Monday in protest of the Ministry of Education's decision to reopen schools. Last week, the Education Ministry declared its intention to open public schools for teachers to prepare the classrooms ahead of the National Grade 6 Assessment, the Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate, and Caribbean Advanced Proficiency Examinations. The GTU expressed the belief that the current situation is still too uncertain to risk the health of students and teachers, saying, quote, "The decision was based on the fact that Guyana's situation remains fluid. Positive cases of coronavirus are still being recorded, and this poses a threat to the well-being of all Guyanese whose desire is to remain healthy," end quote. NGSA is set for July 1st and 2nd, July 13th for the CSEC and CAPE exams. The GTU has consistently objected to the proposed dates and counter-proposed that the NGSA can be written in September and the CSEC and CAPE in October. The ministry reportedly ignored their proposals. Esther Sobers tells us that over the weekend, two men robbed a popular snackette located on the east bank of Demerara.
Police are investigating a fatal incident which occurred on Sunday, June 6, 2020, at about 17:45 hours on Industry Public Road, Quarantine, Berbice. Dead is 6-year-old Ganga Pusot Chevial, a pump operator from Fireridge Village, Quarantine, Berbice. According to police, Chevial was driving along the northern carriageway of the road when he apparently lost control and fell onto the road surface, receiving multiple injuries about his body. He was picked up in an unconscious state and taken to the New Amsterdam Public Hospital, where he was pronounced dead on arrival. His body is presently at the hospital's mortuary awaiting a post-mortem examination. For Channel 2 Headline News, Esther Sobers.
Thanks, Esther. On Sunday, the Guyana Elections Commission completed the national recount of ballots, with the tabulation process likely to be completed today. When the tabulation is completed, the results will not be declared just yet. Chief Elections Officer Keith Lowenfield must first submit a report of the recount to the Elections Commission no later than June 13th. The report will include a summary of the observation reports for each district. It is in these observation reports that the APNU AFC party primarily has highlighted over 6,000 cases of suspected electoral fraud. Stick around. Coming up after the break, GWI catches drinking water company using their tap water for resale, and Berbice man dies in fatal accident.
Smart Minds Educational Institute, offering preschool, nursery, and primary levels. Finally, a school that is every parent's dream. Located at 69 Crow Street, offering academic excellence, trained qualified teachers, small class sizes, personalized care, and one-to-one attention for your little ones. At Smart Minds, register for full-time or evening classes, daily practice pass exam papers for proficiency at the grade 2, 4, and 6 assessment, and CXE exam preparedness, or join our Becca Phonics reading and writing program. So if your child is for preschool, nursery, or primary level, come to Smart Mind, located at 69 Crow Street, or call 231-4885 or 600-9229 to enroll now.
Hurry down to Zasco on 15 North Road between Camp and Wellington Streets. Quality products at low cost for every room in your home. 65 and 55 inches high-stand 4K smart TVs. Samsung French door fridges. Black & Decker appliances, queen and king size Canadian-made mattresses. German-made pressure pots in 5 to 9 liters. 12-piece pot sets, knife sets, cutlery sets and pans, commercial fans. Samsung smart stoves. Canadian-made 3-piece recliner sofa sets. Air fryers and Hamilton Beach hot and cold water dispenser.
Oh gosh, What's this? Me son can't read or spell. Stop! 0 out of 20. Is what I gonna do here?
Hi guys, my name is Ms. Kudusek and I'm the senior teacher at the Literature After School program. Due to the spread of the coronavirus and the need for social distancing, we have moved our in-class learning activities to online via Skype. On the online side, we will be focusing on spelling, phonics, reading, and the National Grade 6 assessments. For more information, you can inbox us or call us.
Contact us on 675-4379.
I can call them now.
Hidden Treasures, discovering gems in young minds.
Welcome back. Over the weekend, the Guyana Water Incorporated reminded the general public that tampering with its infrastructure is punishable by law. This reminder came shortly after the utility company caught a local drinking water company filling its tanks with water from one of their hydrants. According to a press statement, Arctic Waters has been filling its approximately 10,000 gallon capacity truck with water from a fire hydrant to sell to its customers. On Saturday, officials from GWI witnessed the company doing so from a fire hydrant located in Garnett Street, Kitty, Georgetown. The utility has already said that it will be taking legal action against the company. GWI also condemned, quote, the actions of rogue officers within the Guyana Fire Service who seek to condone and assist in such activities, end quote. Tampering with GWI's infrastructure attracts a fine of $30,000 for residential customers and $65,000 Guyana dollars for non-residential customers. A 60-year-old motorcyclist died in an accident over the weekend. More from Bibi Bacchus.
Police are currently searching for 2 suspects in connection with a robbery at M&M Snacket in Houston. The proprietor of the Snacket says that just around noon on Sunday, 2 men entered the outlet. One of the men approached the counter pretending to be a customer before forcing his way through a door leading to the back of the counter and robbing the 2 employees and staff of their valuables at gunpoint. He proceeded to empty the cash register before escaping with his accomplice on a dark-colored CG motorcycle. The matter was reported to the police. The owner of the Snacket said that prior to the robbery at his Houston outlet, there were 2 other robberies in the street adjacent to his Peters Hall East Bank Demerara outlet. The man claimed that he had personally made a report on behalf of the victims. The women were allegedly robbed of their cell phones and valuables by 2 men who rode up to them on a motorcycle. These matters are also being investigated. For Headline News Update, Bibi Bacchus.
Thanks, Bibi. The Global Partnership for Education has approved a U.S. $3.5 million grant for the government of Guyana to support its education sector. The GPE is supporting developing nations to mitigate the impact of school closures on children and to build the resilience of education systems. The organization has also approved a 7% agency fee equaling $245,000 for the grant agent, the United Nations Children's Fund. According to the GPE, the COVID-19 pandemic has cut off 771 million children from schools worldwide. To help counter this education crisis in developing nations, the GPE has already mobilized over $500 million to support them with planning and implementing the nation's response to the pandemic. Don't go away. Coming up after the break, second term for incumbent president of St. Kitts and Nevis, and schools in South Africa reopen for exams.
Smart Minds Educational Institute, offering preschool, nursery, and primary levels. Finally, a school that is every parent's dream. Located at 69 Crow Street, offering academic excellence, trained qualified teachers, small class sizes, personalized care, and one-to-one attention for your little ones. At Smart Minds, register for full-time or evening classes, daily practice pass exam papers for proficiency at the grade 2, 4, and 6 assessment, and CXE exam preparedness, or join our Becca Phonics reading and writing program. So if your child is for preschool, nursery, or primary level, come to Smart Mind, located at 69 Crow Street, or call 231-4885 or 600-9229 to enroll now.
Hurry down to Zasco on 15 North Road between Camp and Wellington Streets. Quality products at low cost for every room in your home. 65 and 55 inches high-end 4K smart TVs. Samsung French door fridges. Black & Decker appliances, queen and king size Canadian-made mattresses. German-made pressure pots in 5 to 9 liters. 12-piece pot sets, knife sets, cutlery sets and pans, commercial fans. Samsung smart stoves. Canadian-made 3-piece recliner sofa sets. Air fryers and Hamilton Beach hot and cold water dispenser.
Oh gosh, what's this? Me son can't read or spell. Stop! 0 out of 20. Is what I gonna do here?
Hi guys, my name is Ms. Pujasik and I'm the senior teacher at the Literature After School program. Due to the spread of the coronavirus and the need for social distancing, we have moved our in-class learning activities to online via Skype. On the online side, we will be focusing on spelling, phonics, reading, and the National Grade 6 assessments. For more information, you can inbox us or call us.
Contact us on 675-4379.
I can call them now.
Hidden Treasures, discovering gems in young minds.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at news in the region and around the world. Dr. Timothy Harris was sworn in as Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis for a second term on Sunday. Harris's team, Unity Administration, which is comprised of the Concerned Citizens Movement in Nevis, the People's Action Movement, and the People's Labour Party, both in St. Kitts, was re-elected with an overwhelming majority on Friday, with 9 out of the Federation's 11 constituencies, delivering a win for the incumbent government. During the ceremony, Harris pledged to fulfill his campaign promises to people of the Twin Island Federation, saying, quote, "I promise I would not let you down, and promise the administration that I will not let down the people of St. Kitts and Nevis," end quote. Harris, who hailed the outgoing Team Unity cabinet, said that it was an honor for him to have the opportunity to be sworn in for a second time as Prime Minister. Thousands of people in Brazil have defied a lockdown to demonstrate against what they see as threats to democracy and health under President Jair Bolsonaro. Al Jazeera's Lucia Newman reports.
Government opponents who had until now banged on pots and pans from their balconies came out onto the streets of Sao Paulo in large numbers to protest for the first time since the pandemic reached Brazil. Their country now has the world's third highest death toll from COVID-19. But they defied their grim reality because their list of grievances is getting long.
I came out despite the quarantine because I have to fight for all of us. Bolsonaro is a threat to democracy and our lives.
Many use the occasion to also show their support for the Black Lives Matter movement.
Bolsonaro doesn't care about black lives. 54% of Brazilians are black, and we're the ones being hardest hit by COVID and poverty. That's why he does nothing.
But the strongest message was against what many Brazilians see as an attempt by their president and his supporters to subvert democratic institutions, especially the Supreme Court, which Bolsonaro threatens to shut down.
Bolsonaro is a fascist, and I don't want this country to turn into a dictatorship. I already lived through that.
I asked former Brazilian ambassador to Washington and the UN, Rubens Recupero, if describing Bolsonaro as a fascist was perhaps going too far.
He has, as I said, all the traits of a fascist. He is a defender of using weapons in political struggle, of using violence. He is an unapologetic defender of torture in the military regime. So you see, it's frightening.
In Rio de Janeiro, a group of Bolsonaro supporters ridiculed his opponents, calling them the Antifas, or anti-fascists. Meanwhile, the president went out to greet his followers without a face mask, as he's been doing every Sunday. Bolsonaro says he wants to arm Brazilians to defend the country from internal enemies. He has also named a retired military officer, one of 3,000 he's placed in civilian jobs, as acting health minister. With the pandemic, a deep economic recession and a political crisis all in high gear, opponents are betting that time is on their side, as long as Brazil's democratic institutions can withstand the test. Lucia Newman, Al Jazeera.
And internationally, most schools in South Africa have reopened. The students in their final years of primary and secondary school have been allowed to return. Al Jazeera's Famida Miller reports.
It's an anxious start to the day at Westbury Primary School in Johannesburg.
So we're all scared. I'm scared. But you have my word that we are doing everything as prescribed to keep your child safe.
Principal Sheldon Makoni speaks to parents gathered outside the school. Many say they're not confident that enough's been done to safeguard their children.
I spoke to a few of the parents who said, I don't know what's happening.
The reopening was delayed by a week after teachers' unions and parents complained about a lack of personal protective equipment and poor sanitation at some schools. The government says 95% of schools are now ready, but some parents don't feel reassured.
We're all worried. We're all worried. And for it being put out there to parents to say, do not worry, how do you not worry as a parent?
Thousands of students in the Gauteng province are discovering their school routine is now very different. They're having to wear masks and keep their distance from others. Their temperatures are also checked while they stand in the cold waiting for others to be registered and screened.
It's been a nightmare. The amount of hours we've put into this, it's enormous. Up till yesterday I was involved in a Zoom meeting with politicians, department officials, trying to determine exactly how ready we are. Because it's something new for everybody. You can say you're ready, and then something jumps up that you haven't thought about.
Counseling services are available, but many parents and teachers are concerned about how well children will adapt to their return and catching up on their schoolwork.
Many of the children here say they're excited to be back at school, but also nervous. In the last week alone, at least 2 schools in the Western Cape province were shut after teachers tested positive for the coronavirus. Here in Gauteng, 1 school has remained closed after it was found that a student has the disease.
Inside classrooms, students have to stay at their desks, and socializing in the playground is banned. While online schooling will continue for those who want to stay at home, for schools with fewer resources, that's not an option. This school is giving out education packs for parents to collect. But as the number of COVID-19 infections in South Africa grows sharply, many say they're being forced to balance between educating their children and keeping them and themselves safe. Famida Miller, Al Jazeera, Johannesburg.
That's all for today's regional and international news. Here is your 3-day weather forecast. That's all for this edition of the Headline News Update. Tune in Wednesday at 7 p.m. for another episode. Be sure to subscribe, like, and follow us on Facebook and YouTube. Also, visit our website at headlinenewsguyana.com for all the news we couldn't fit in the newscast. Until then, take care.